The sound you hear is what some experts claim to be a Bigfoot scream. Recorded in the state of Washington by a group of campers in 1971, it is regarded as the highest quality audio of the creature ever captured.
Hello, welcome to Bigfoot Real Encounters. We're glad to have you stop by. We'd also like to take this time to invite you to share your encounter. You can send your stories to the email bfrealencounters@mail.com, where we will feature your story with all of the respect that it deserves. So send your stories in, bfrealencounters@mail.com. We look forward to hearing from you and your great stories soon. Hello everybody, and welcome to Bigfoot Real Encounters. This is your host, Chris. I'd like to welcome all of our brand new viewers to the channel, as well as returning viewers to the channel. This is one of the few safe places to relay your encounters. You can tell what happened to you out in the woods or on your property, maybe in the tree line. Something happened. You can tell it. We will believe you. If you were a child and something looked into your window or followed you home from school in the wooded lot next to your home and you were not paid attention to and told it was your imagination, we will listen to you. That's why we're here. Your hunting or fishing buddies just laugh at you? Don't worry. We'll pay attention to you. We know what's out there. I saw it. Many other folks who were paying attention to this channel, as well as some other channels, they saw it too. Probably not the one you saw, because there's large populations of them all around this country and actually all around this world. There are many places, and they like to watch us. We know they're there. They have different abilities, they have strange behaviors, and our governments don't know what to do about them, and so they just want to bury the conversation about it. But that's okay. We'll have the conversation. We'll educate each other. We'll do what the Native Americans and First Nations folks have done. We'll tell our friends, our family members, and teach our children about the large, hairy humanoids in the forests, and we'll give them all the details, which is why we want you to send in your story to bfrealencounters@mail.com. You have some additional details in the incident that happened to you that we need to hear so that we can educate our group of folks, as well as the fact that you can get it off your chest and maybe begin to heal, because encounters with these creatures do create PTSD, and getting it off of your chest really helps. I know this because it helped me. Other folks know it because it has helped them, and they have told us that it helped. So, what do you have to wait for? Get it off your chest. See if it helps. We are going to continue going state by state. We're waiting for you to send in your incidences. While we're waiting for those to come in, let me go to the state of Wyoming. And of course, we know that the Yellowstone National Park is in Wyoming. And our first set of encounters here, we're going to take a look at Park County, Wyoming, from the 1970s and 80s. This happens to be a backcountry ranger. Described some sightings and other incidences in the area that he was doing his rangering in. Now this one states, the following account was given to Colorado Curator during a phone interview in 2003. Recently, they gave permission to submit his account to the BFRO. Now this is from a retired Yellowstone ranger. He says, The first time I heard anything was in the mid to late 70s. An outfitter and I were riding up Fan Creek in the northwest section of the park. Up the drainage in Stellaria Creek, we heard a sound that just kept going and going. It was probably a mile away. It filled the whole valley up, kind of a thousand-like elk going to their death. I couldn't believe this thing had that much volume for that long a period of time. He had never heard anything like it, neither. A couple weeks later, I was coming out from Sportsman Creek, taking a trail which comes out of Fan Creek. I was 11 miles back in, up high, I was on a steep side hill with horses and in woods, but down below about 40 to 50 yards, there was a kind of fairly flat meadow with dense subalpine thickets. There were these low fir growths that have a centerpiece tree, and then everything kind of cone shapes to ground. They were about 20 yards wide or so. The horses were flaring their noses and snorting like they do when a grizzly bear is real close. But I could see fairly good all around, and I couldn't see one. So I started looking down below me, and the horses were really agitated. They're wanting to get out of there. I held them, but only with effort. I looked down to see where Grizz was, and I saw a deer at edge of thicket. All at once, it bolted and started jarring ahead perpendicular to me. Right then, coming out the other side was this thing that was running on 2 feet. It was black like a bear and had long arms and ran. I think I held it there 30 seconds, but it got scared and then came out. It ran, but not super fast. It ran to another thicket and went at an angle out of the thicket to another thicket about 40, 50 yards away. At this point, the creature was 75 yards downslope. It kept hitting these thickets trying to get away from me. I've never seen a bear do that. They'll always take a straighter line. The first thing I thought was bear, but right away I realized this black shaggy thing wasn't a bear. This thing was smart. I've never seen an animal trying to pick up protection as it fled. I tied that together with the sound I had heard on the other side of the drainage. It wasn't that tall. It looked like it was 6 foot, maybe 6'5". The side of the face looked like it had a lot of fur. Most of the time it was angling away, so I only got a good look at the head for probably first 10 steps. The proportions of the torso, it looked more stocky than anything else. I noticed the arms swung more than a human's would, and it didn't have elbows cocked. This was no hoax. I've ridden maybe 50,000 to 70,000 miles in the backcountry on horses, and you encounter a lot of bears when you do that. This thing, whatever it was, the horses looked straight down to it. There we have at least one encounter from a well-respected ranger in Yellowstone National Park. There's a couple of short mentions of other folks mentioning to him they'd heard sounds and stuff. Didn't see any footprints. But anyways, it's an official making reports on here. I'd also like to make mention, maybe there's some rangers or law enforcement. Maybe you've had an encounter. Maybe you've taken reports of encounters. Maybe you've seen things. I want to hear from you. bfrealencounters@mail.com. Send in what you got. Now's the best time in history to make mention of these incidents because people are wanting to hear about them. People are taking them more seriously. The widespread information on the internet and television shows regarding this subject has made it easier to get the information out about what happened to you and what you've learned and heard and seen. So go ahead and send it in. We'll get it out. We'll make sure that you're not laughed at, not on this channel anyways. bfrealencounters@mail.com. Also, please like, share, subscribe. Those things are important for the automated YouTube algorithms to recommend my channel and my videos when they come out. The more interaction, the more likes, the more thumbs up, the more comments left behind, the more they're going to put it in the search results and up next to videos. I would really appreciate that. I'm not getting a lot of coverage, a lot of promotion from YouTube. So consider doing those things. So let's take a look here at some other stories we have going on. This one here, also Park County, Wyoming, 1978. This one reads, "The sighting was witnessed by my friend and myself. We're both geologists. While driving into Yellowstone from Cody for employment at the park for the summer, my friend was taking his turn at driving and I was soaking up as much as I could see, as well as providing a running commentary to keep my friend alert during our long drive. As we came around a curve in the road, our high beams illuminated a large, dark, shaggy figure coming up out of the ditch on the left side of the road, at a distance of about 200 to 250 feet. As we approached the figure at a speed of about 45 miles an hour, it looked first at the vehicle. We noticed a yellow reflection from its eyes that is seen in a dog's eye when the light catches it at night, then deliberately turned its head away from the lights. That motion was non-human or bear-like, in that the shoulders, chest, and head moved simultaneously as it caught sight of our vehicle and then turned its face away from the headlights. We slowed. We slammed on the brakes, stunned at what we were seeing and trying to rationalize what we were looking at. A hominid creature, perhaps 7 to 7.5 feet tall. We have a 7-foot friend as a reference. Massing perhaps 600 to 800 pounds without obvious signs of obesity. Standing completely and comfortably upright, came up out of the ditch from the left side of the road, right at the edge of the metal barrier above the culvert. It took 3 extraordinarily long and fluid strides across the highway, 22 feet, and another 3 or 4 shorter strides down the other side of the road, actually appearing to catch hold of the metal barrier railing with one long, fingered, hairy hand and swinging down under the road into the box culvert or channel bottom, completely out of our line of sight. We stopped the vehicle within 25 feet of the culvert and watched the final descent of the creature into the darkness of the channel. At this point, we speed on toward the east gate of YNP, hoping to find a ranger to report the sighting to, and perhaps to go back and take another look. There was no one at the gate due to the late hour, and we didn't see any lights on anywhere. So we continued on to our destination and went to bed, deciding not to contaminate each other's observations with discussions until morning. In the morning, we both independently described graphically and in writing as much of what we had seen 6 hours earlier. This is a synopsis of our findings. They were virtually identical, down to the movement of which leg moved first as the creature crossed the road. The head appeared to merge into the neck, and there was no snout or protrusion from the face, as would commonly be seen in a bear. I have seen hundreds up close and in person. The face was not clearly visible and was only glimpsed for a moment. We both got an impression of long hair covering some of it. The nostrils were large and open, but neither of us were able to describe mouth or teeth. The eyes weren't exceptional, just the reflection of gold, like a dog's. What each of us can still describe with great clarity is the size, shape, and unique fluid movement of the creature. It was big, 7 to 7.5 feet-ish, but not much bigger than that. It was heavy and powerful looking in shape. It possessed a rather blocky, yet elongated head, slightly domed on top of the cranium, thick, short neck, broad shoulders, full chest. It was square and longer through the torso and hips than a human. As it walked across the road in front of us, the buttocks were clearly seen as muscular masses moving under heavy, shaggy hair. They obviously attached to long, powerful, muscular thighs, longer in proportion to a human. Big knees that functioned as a human knee, thick, muscular calves, and feet in proportion to the rest of the oversized body. The soles of the feet appeared to be hairless, or less covered in hair, and very dark in color. The arms hung from heavily muscled shoulders and were longer than a human, reaching to knee length and extended fully, almost a horizontal position to the front and rear of the body as it moved. The elbows were perhaps a little further down the arm than that on a human, or the unusual length of the arm made it appear so. The hands were large and long-fingered. Neither of us could later describe the palms, nails, or other than the backs of the hands, which were covered in the same long, shaggy, dark brown hair as the rest of the creature. The creature made no sound nor gesture throughout the sighting. It appeared a little startled at our vehicle appearing out of the night, but in no other way frightened or threatening. Startled the heck out of the two of us, though. Well, yeah, I could concur with that. When you see it, it is startling. Here we have two scientists, geologists as it were, having a sighting, and they very meticulously and scientifically wrote down what they saw and tried not to influence each other's recollection of the thing. They're very scientific about it, which actually goes against what the common thoughts are on this, that only dumb hicks think they see these things. No, these are trained scientists that saw one, and they described it, and they made a public report of it. The proof is already in, folks. All these different encounters, incidents, sightings, eyewitness accounts are evidence in the court of law on every other subject. We have many eyewitness accounts, along with the physical evidence of a track, which we learned from Dale from Tennessee a couple videos back. If it leaves a track, well then it was there. Okay, folks? There's no need to hide your encounter. If it happened to you, let us know. We'll help you get it out there, your story, all the different details. And as we go story by story, incident by incident, we come up with more and more details of what they look like, how they act, different personalities. So it is a viable population, and all kinds of different situations and whatnot. The diversity of the sightings reported lends to the credibility of the sightings. Okay, folks? Let's see if we have time for another one. Alright, it looks like we have another one here in Park County. I guess this video is going to be all about the Yellowstone area. This one says, I was cutting firewood in a designated timber cut area with my brother, approximately halfway between Cody and Yellowstone. We were south of the highway, very near the north bank of the North Fork, an easterly flowing tributary of Buffalo Bill Reservoir. The timber in this area is not dense and affords good views of the high north-facing mountain slopes south of the river. Shortly before sundown, I noticed movement high up on a slope across the river. At first, I concluded that it must be a bear or elk and pointed it out to my brother. My brother fetched the binoculars from the pickup to have a closer look. As we're hunters, and like to keep track of where we see elk. At first, he seemed startled in that he didn't recognize what he was looking at. Rather than jump to a conclusion, he handed me the glasses and asked me to look. By the time I got the glasses up, it had disappeared into the tree line and I couldn't see it. Shortly after, I noticed it again lower down on the slope in a clearing, moving all the while. At this point, I would estimate the creature at a quarter mile from us, moving closer, downslope towards the river. This time I got a good look at it through the glasses. It was definitely upright, walking on two legs, though there's no way to say at this distance. The specimen appeared to be between 6 and 10 feet in height. More striking, however, was its mass. The creature, covered in dark hair, almost seemed fat, maybe obese. This was no bear. I saw it walk for a good 100 yards and it never came down on all fours. There's something on the North Fork that I have sure never seen before. About a half hour after my last sighting, we were loading the truck. The chainsaw wasn't running, so we could hear reasonably well. The river makes some noise. Right before we left, almost completely dark, I heard a high-pitched, eerie, squealing noise coming from a few 100 yards upriver. I've never heard anything like it. Though it's about the right time of year still to hear elk bugle, but this was no elk. Okay, and now we have reports of a fat one. Isn't that something, folks? I'd like to put this thought out there. Usually, animals and whatnot that live out in the wild usually do not get obese. I mean, walking around, up and down hills, the type of food, lean food, that type of thing. But let me say this. What if it was a pregnant female? Ever thought of that? If this is your report on the BFRO and you're hearing this, did you think of that? I'd like to hear from you. I can be reached at bfrealencounters@mail.com if you want to send in your stories to be narrated here on YouTube. If you want to reach me about sponsoring any of the videos or any type of interviews, or just to talk to me about anything, email me at bfrealencounters@mail.com. Also, I did set up the Facebook group, Bigfoot Anonymous. It's specifically for folks who've had encounters that would like to get in touch with other folks who've had encounters, exchange stories, exchange solutions possibly. Maybe some of you have ongoing encounters and you would like to not have those encounters anymore. Maybe you can discuss with each other ways to get rid of those encounters. I mean, it's all possible on this group. There's a capability for you to use some rooms for private discussions, even video chats. All the type of thing that Facebook groups offer you is available to you. And as I've said before, I'm not going to use it as a source for anything for the YouTube channel. So use it. It's there to help you, because we know that encounters with the Bigfoot, the Sasquatch, the forest giants, the Sabe, the wood boogers, all these other names that you've heard of, usually ends up not good. So we're trying to help you. We're trying to educate you, trying to help you do what needs to be done. So while you're out there enjoying the wilderness, camping, hiking, fishing, picnicking, remember, keep an eye on the tree line to see what's keeping an eye on you. We'll see you in the next one. Once again, another great story. Thanks for tuning in. Please share your encounter. Email us, bfrealencounters@mail.com. Your story is very important. We will treat it with the respect that it deserves. Also, be sure to smash the like button, share, and subscribe. Thanks once again. We look forward to hearing from you soon. Watch out for our next video. Maybe we'll feature yours. Have a great day.